Here we go. The shitty ones, the ones that I'm dying to rip apart. The top 10 worst movies of the year. I didn't see all the bad ones. I didn't see The Best of Me. I didn't see Ouija or anything like that. But judging from all the shit that I saw this year, these were the movies I was just like, that was bad. And I didn't review any of these movies because I wanted to avoid them until I saw them either on my computer or I saw them on Netflix and so forth. But generally speaking, yeah, these movies, avoid them at all costs. Number 10 is Transcendence. Oh god, this movie had such a cool concept. And not to mention though, it was directed by Wally Pfister, one of Christopher Nolan's cinematographers, and the movie looks great, you know what I mean? And the performances were fine though, but just this movie was so boring. The movie had such a really cool concept and such a really cool setup, but the problem was the whole movie just went downhill right when the plot started to kick in. This movie was just, it was so underwhelming, it was so bad, it was so boring. Wally Pfister, dude, please stick to being a cinematographer than being a director, just please. And number 9, look, Mick G. I love the music videos you directed. Seriously, they're imprinted in my mind. You know what I mean? They're classics in a lot of ways. But your movies, on the other hand, well, I enjoy Charlie's Angels and Terminator Salvation, but the rest of your movies, I'm not too fond of. And 3 Days to Kill ain't one of those movies that I was fond of. 3 Days to Kill, I thought, was a movie that tried to be too much, but I really couldn't figure out where it wanted to be. Was it a comedy movie? Was it an action movie? Was it this father-daughter bonding movie? What was it? You know what I mean? And it was just, it was a complete mess throughout the whole thing. I'm sitting there watching it and I was just like, good lord, this is a piece of shit. You know what I mean? And poor Kevin Costner. Look, at least I'm glad to see him. He's getting tons of work again. I love Kevin Costner. You know, he's a great actor, and I'm glad he had draft day out this year because this movie really could have hurt his career more than ways than one. But 3 Days to Kill, bad movie. Right, number 8. You ever see a movie that's 20 years too late? Yeah, so have I. It's called Into the Storm. This movie was just nothing but a special effects showcase of seeing storms destroy houses and stuff. And I'm fine with that. I think that'd be cool. The problem is it gets really boring when you have to care about all the human characters. You're just like, get out of here. I want to watch things getting torn down. And when things do get torn down, it's not really exciting. It's just not. It's not. I'm so sad that Richard Armitage, who plays Thorin in the Hobbit movies, was in these movies. Luckily, he had the Hobbit. To come out this year to back him up. But generally speaking, Enter the Storm, don't see it. Just don't see it. Number 7. Look, I don't know what Aaron Eckhart or Bill Nye or Yvonne Strahovski were thinking when they made I, Frankenstein. I really don't. This movie was just nothing but the producers of Underworld wanted to make an Underworld type movie, but for some reason, Kate Beckinsale said no, so they're like, let's just do Underworld, but we're just going to have Frankenstein in it, which would be fine, but this movie doesn't have any of the fun that any of the Underworld movies had. You know what I mean? The more I think about this movie, the more dumber I feel like I'm getting as a result of I, Frankenstein. This movie was just nothing but just a complete bore fest. And I'm sad that Aaron Eckhart is in this movie. Look, I'm glad he's doing movies like London Has Fallen, where he can at least be in these action movies that show how good of an actor he is. But I, Frankenstein, don't see it. And coming in at number 6 is Lucy. Now look, Scarlett Johansson, we all love Scarlett Johansson. She's hot, she can kick ass, and this movie really wants to show that. The only problem is, it does it too well, to the point where you're just bored to death, because all you see her do is just become more powerful and more powerful and powerful, up to the point where you're just like, why do I care? She's not challenged in any way. There's no really reason for you to give a shit about her character. So really, the whole movie was just nothing but seeing this chick do super cool things. I like Luc Besson. He's a great director when it comes to movies like Fifth Element and The Professional. And I like when he writes movies like The First Taken and the Transporter movies and so forth. But generally speaking, Lucy, I feel like with Lucy, Luc Besson just wanted to do his version of Limitless, only with superpowers. And as a result, the movie was a complete bore. Number 5, look, This movie takes the crown as the worst comedy of 2014. Yeah, it's Tammy. Oh boy! Look, I never found Melissa McCarthy funny. I think the chick, all she does is just be obnoxious and angry. And in this movie she does it. She plays the same character she's played in Identity Thief and Bridesmaids and so forth. And I wouldn't have hated this movie so much if the fact that it wasn't written by Melissa McCarthy and directed by her husband. I feel like this movie was just made because Melissa McCarthy just wanted to get some money real quick. So she was just like, I'm just gonna act like how I've acted like in all my movies and get paid for it. You know what I mean? And it was just, God, it was such a mess. I was sad seeing Dan Aykroyd in this movie. The minute I saw Dan Aykroyd in this movie, I was just like, no, no. You know what I mean? It was, oh God, I hated this movie so much. Tammy is like, you see what this movie has done to me? Is made me feel angry and angry and angry. You know what I mean? I lost my thought. Moving on. At number 4, look, I think The Monuments Men could have been something really special. And it could have been, I mean, the movie had so much potential to be something great, but the movie was not just boring, it was so underwhelming. I didn't give a shit about any of the characters aside from Clooney. And just the fact that the movie, the more you think about it, you're just like, that does not make sense. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. You know, it drives you, it can go crazy thinking about that. You know what I mean? And I just, I couldn't stand this movie anymore. I literally couldn't. Clooney, I think you're a great director, but this was just this wasn't just for you, man. It really wasn't. And right at number 3 is Paranormal Activity: The Marked Ones. Now, I enjoy the first 3 Paranormal Activities. The fourth Paranormal Activity I thought was boring, but I was like, they should stop right now. They should quit while they're ahead. Nope. They decided to keep on moving. We got this shitty movie like The Marked Ones. This movie was just bad. I wasn't scared once, and I hated its forced connections to the first Paranormal Activity. The movie did something really, really surprising, which was it made the first Paranormal Activity suck. Like literally after the movie was over, I was like, even the first one's terrible. You know what I mean? And that's sad when the first Paranormal Activity was such a landmark in horror films in general. And I just, oh, I hate this movie. And just like my top 10 best list, number 1 and 2, we're going back to back. In the very last minute, I switch them up. I mean, but at number 2 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh my God, do I hate this movie? This movie was not the Ninja Turtles at all. This movie was bad. I felt like the only thing this movie got right was just the Ninja Turtles, and apart from one action scene, the rest of the movie was terrible. Megan Fox's April O'Neil was totally miscast. I think Anna Kendrick could have been perfect, but they chose her. The Shredder was without a doubt generic and boring and just a lame bad guy. The movie copies off the first Amazing Spider-Man in a really ridiculous fashion. And just the fact that, you know, the Ninja Turtles origin story is as simple as it gets. And what they did in this movie is they overcomplicated it. How's it overcomplicated? It's the simplest origin story in the world, but they decided we're just going to change things around and make it so complicated. Oh man, look, Michael Bay. I can't believe. Look, I know I'm probably gonna get shit for this, but stick to Transformers. Just stick to Transformers and give someone else Ninja Turtles, please. And I'm not looking forward to the sequel at all. But what could be worse than Ninja Turtles? Well, it would be this one. Coming at number 1 is a movie. This movie infuriated me. It made me angry. I wanted to punch my TV screen or my computer screen. I just wanted to punch something. My number 1 is The Legend of Hercules. This movie was just bad. All around bad. The acting was bad. The action was bad. The movie felt cheap in every single word, every single thing. It was awful, you know what I mean? And this movie did something I never thought it could do. It made me root for a Brett Ratner movie. It really did. And I haven't seen I haven't seen that Hercules movie yet, but I know it's got to be better than this. And that is something when I have to compliment something from Brett Ratner. You know what I mean? But this movie did it. It made me compliment a Brett Ratner movie, and for that I hate it. I hate this movie so much. I want it to burn in hell. I hate this movie. I really do. But that is my my top 10 worst of the list. So what are your top 10 worst? What do you think were the ones that you couldn't stand that infuriated you as much as these did for me? But that's it. That's my last video for 2014, and I'm just looking forward to 2015 in so many ways. So That's it. So comment, like, subscribe, whatever. Until 2015, everyone.